needs her.
That's great. That's a great question. I feel that Rupert, that the idea of domination in the bedroom is not something that he thinks about. I think he wants the other person to have a good time. Obviously, in our show, that is not always the case. I think he massively misjudges certainly his first encounter with Taggy in that respect. But if he's in a sort of aiming for a wholesome sexual relationship, let's say, he wants it to be reciprocal. So I think he feels potent because of his sort of powers in that respect anyway, so he doesn't have to dominate those sort of environments in the way that he might have to socially.
I think insecurity is probably a bigger problem for Tony in every aspect of his life, and therefore I don't know that I'd want to go to bed with Tony Battingham. Let's put it that way.
I think Cameron is very powerful in the bedroom and powerful personally, and that's a really exciting journey to go on. And again, when we talk about the sex scenes with Cameron, she's very much in control and she knows exactly what she wants. Like, nothing is being done to her. If anything, is something that she wants, and she's doing the doing.
She's doing the doing, and sometimes being done.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. It's an interesting one. I don't know. I don't think it's very important for Declan in that realm, like to be the most powerful person, to be ordering people around. I think, and these are related, but I think like control over his materials is important. I think his work and his career is very important. How he's seen, how he's perceived is important to him. Sometimes it matters that he has flashes of power to assert that thing, but he's not power hungry. I don't think in that regard his ego is completely out of check, although he's on television being the TV presenter, so I don't know. He doesn't hate the sound of his own voice, but yeah. And then, you know, in his personal life, power, not necessarily. I mean, there's something, and I hasten to use the word, but like there's something about that old school. I mean, we're talking, you know, somebody said 36 years ago is when we're looking at these characters, and like, yeah, I mean, I suppose with the family life, the man would have been situated or positioned more to be that sort of slightly domineering, you know, patriarchal person. I don't think that exists with the O'Haras. I mean, Maud is such a personality, and I think Declan probably, you know, refers to her on certain things.
I have a scene where I try to be a sexy Margaret Thatcher and it goes wrong. I suppose that's a kind of power situation she's trying out in the bedroom. I don't think, I think Lizzie just likes to write her novels, and I think in her novels she'd probably do lots of different variations on that. In the stories she told about romantic pairings, I imagine she would do every which way. I think she would take James however he wants to be taken, but he just isn't really interested in her that way anymore. And
Yeah, I think Freddie's a natural leader, and I think he sort of leads by example, and he leads with kindness. And I have a lovely little speech in it where I talk about that. Then I was ever left any of his companies, and everyone enjoys working for him. And just a really intelligent man. I think in the bedroom he's just he just like the idea of having sex, really. And I think that I think those days, Freddie in the bedroom would be quite shy. You know, he wouldn't be like commanding or anything like that, unless it comes to Lizzie. But who knows?
I think for Monica, in the bedroom is of no interest to her, and that's all right. For a lot of people, that's the case. I think she has pride and confidence that he needs her and respects her, although we'll see how that pans out as the series goes on. And for her, yeah, she's got this old ancestral power. She doesn't need to flash it about. She doesn't need ostentatious objects to feel good about herself. So no, I think she's quite comfortable in herself, quite stoic, and you know, lots of old money does that to people.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think she uses her sexiness as a power, but particularly, you know, she uses sex for that, for sure. She married a local MP to become more of a kind of pillar of society. I think maybe she's been very judged in her life, you know, being a young blonde woman, and people, I think one assumes that a woman like that would be a certain way. She wants to prove that she's quite smart. And yeah, so I think she marries the local MP to kind of become kind of more involved in that, and then uses the power in the bedroom. She uses her sexiness. She knows that men fall at her feet. She does it with James Vereker. She manipulates him. Yeah, I think she definitely kind of uses that power in every aspect of her life. But then you, as I say, as it goes on, you really kind of see the vulnerability, and it shows that actually she becomes quite powerless in it all. So yeah, it was interesting playing both those sides.
Oh, power, whether it's sexual or work or personal, is all power, and she just likes that. As long as there's a standing ovation at the end, she'll do it.
Just imagining Declan just sort of...
Yes, there should be. There should be. But I would have thought the two go hand in hand for Maud. And, you know, yeah, it's an interesting question because, you know, sometimes you have to choose between one and the other. And through the whole series, that's part of her fight. That's part of her decision making. It's part of her journey and part of her learning how to get herself out from what I call the turn down rear view mirror. You know, if you're in the car and you've got the rear view mirror, it's supposed to be looking at the back, but you got to turn down just so you can check out how cute you are. And your wing mirror is checked in, just see how cute you're doing. That's Maud. She would drive, not having a clue there's other cars around her.
I mean, I don't know if that's even a sort of a thing that Taggy thinks about. I think the whole point of the series is Taggy finding herself and conquering her insecurities, and I think, you know, what's most important to her is family. And I don't think power is really a word that Taggy would ever use. I mean, you know, there's always possibility, and we'll see, you know, but this is a coming of age moment, you know, character arc for her, and I think I don't think career, maybe, do you know, actually.
Whoa, it does get a bit dark and murky, right?
Yeah, I think when you work for Lord Baddingham, it's under his rules. You know what I mean? It's his house, and I think if you're a character that has trouble with that, I think you're going to go with loggerheads, and he's probably going to win. And I think with Declan, it's something that comes up. You know, I think he can work with Tony on some things, but other things he can't, and he can't capitulate to some of his ideas, and there's a huge clash. So he's a very strong character, Tony Baddingham, and he knows what he wants, and he gets it. And if you're not part of what he wants, your head will roll. So yeah, he's a tricky character.
Even to Cameron, to a certain extent, it's just like I don't know that I agree with all of this, and you know, may have a change of heart somewhere, and then obviously will cause some friction between them two, or could cause friction between them two. But it can get a little dark, and it can get murky working for him, and it can get, you know, it can become really selfish when you play his game, and then and, you know, you don't really want to deter from it too much because he's so powerful.
But it's addictive.
And he's so scary, but it's addictive because ultimately these are like ambitious, work-driven people, type A, both Declan and Cameron, which is why they clash in the beginning, because it's like, okay, well, maybe Tony is right. This is the best for the company. And then, you know, a little later down, you can be like, okay, maybe not. Maybe this is too selfish. Maybe, you know, we aren't handling things to the best of our ability.
Right, it makes you doubt yourself.
It makes you start doubting, and it makes you start questioning who you are as a person. And you can see Declan go through that struggle. And without giving too much away, Cameron starts to question some things too, and starts to say, like, is this the right way? Is this, you know, what I want to project myself to? So yeah, it's pretty interesting. He's a scary man to work for, right?
He is, because he's charming too, and
very,
you know,
charming.
He holds the golden ticket. You know, lots of his shows are super successful. If you want to be part of that, you have to go on his side. So it's I can see how people would be drawn in by him for sure.
Well, I think that we're both quite kind characters, and we're quite likeable characters, and we're both, unfortunately, in marriages where we don't feel very seen or lusted after, or I think Freddy's quite childlike when it comes to sex, and even though he's a very powerful man and he's obviously very intelligent, and I think he sees something in Lizzie that he's never quite felt before with another female, and I think he doesn't quite know what to do with it, because I think ultimately they're both good, honest, moral people, but sometimes this connection, this spirit thing that they just can't deny. And I think that's quite sweet, because everybody, there's all the other characters are sleeping with people, and are quite frivolous, and I don't really care about hurting people, whereas I think Lizzie and Freddy do care, and I think you need that in the show. You need that bit of colour.
Yeah, I think if their affair happens, it wouldn't necessarily happen if they were both in better marriages, and you have this sort of unusual feeling of actually wanting them to have an affair, but it's because they're so underserved, really, by their marriages. And I also love that it's a meeting of minds first and foremost, and I think that Lizzie admires his passion for what he does, and he reads her writing and falls for her sort of partly because of that, and I think that's really appealing. That's sort of
he believes in her, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Whereas
I don't think James has even read any of her writing.
No, it just sort of pisses him off.
I don't think he can read.
I think the noise of your typewriter just sort of pisses him off. That's the sort of that's the stamp of James.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, oh, what? It's the 80s. What's... You don't do working out what you're thinking and feeling. You feel something and you react, especially if you're an aging star actress from the stage.
Extraordinary.
You just feel what you feel in the moment, and that instant gratification is necessary, whether it's sleeping with someone you shouldn't do, or drinking more of what you should do, or playing the piano naked, or jumping on a camel, or whatever it is that she needs to do to make herself feel fabulous, she will do. She has her moments of terrible insecurity, which you see, but instead of them being a deeper place to think for a lot of the series, it's more of a runway to her next potentially terrible choice.
I honestly don't think at the beginning of the series a lot draws her to Rupert. I think she really, really doesn't like him. And I don't think she has any intention of creating any sort of relationship with him. But what's wonderful about the series is they both challenge each other and try and grow as people, and there's a lot of will they, won't they throughout the series, and I won't spoil it for you. You just have to wait and see what happens.